Hi guys, Ted Elsner, Sacramento Historical Fencing Academy. All right, so in today's video, we're continuing on with the rules of the Rostock, and we're in particular going to look at the additional rule of the Rostock. This is one that Meyer gives us when we find ourselves actually kind of failing on the previous rules that we talked about and allowing a person to gain our blade on top, what we should then do. Before I go on, as always, if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to us, follow us on Facebook, guys. It really helps out the channel and we really appreciate it. So let's go ahead and take a look at this rule. The additional rule of the Rostock. If he falls on your blade as you go through, note first, if he falls on the weak, strike around on his blade. If he falls on the strong, jerk his weapon around on the other side. If he falls on the middle, then let it run through and fall back on it with suppressing and work it once to the opening. All right, so let's take a look at these in action. So the first thing that we want to do is ideally not allow him to touch my sword, right? If I strike in, I want to change through before he can respond. That's our ideal kind of goal, whether it's through pulling, whether it's through just a ditch vexel, whatever it is. But what may happen is that I'll come in, bam, and he's bound on my weak. And in the moment that I see that, I'm going to do my disengage underneath, and then I'm going to strike with the short edge and come back in. This is going to show up in a future discussion of one of the rules, actually the next one, where Meyer advises us to use what he calls Rückhuen, which we're interpreting as a back strike or a beat with the short edge. So I strike, I bleiben for just a second, disengage, strike, and go. One more time, and strike, okay? It's really important that I get that short edge strike back on there, because if I strike in and trying to just change without anything, now Jeff has managed to parry and I get stabbed in the face. As I've noted, not a fan of being stabbed in the face. It's for the other guy, ideally not for myself. So that's the first one. The second one then is going to be what happens. We're actually going to jump to the third one. What happens if he binds on my middle? So I strike in, he binds on my middle. Now I want to let it run off. So I'll do an Ablauf and I'll come up and I'll come down with suppressing. I'm being nice to Jeff here. Jeff is my friend. I want Jeff to be around to practice with me in the future. If I didn't like Jeff, I'd strike in, I'd wind up, and I'd strike through his shoulder line and his arms. Suppress the arm in that situation. It hurts. It may not kill him, but it's going to ruin his day. So strike to the arms, right down in, okay, with suppressing. Now, the last one that we want to look at is going to be to do the wrenching, the Ausreißen. And really what Meyer's telling us at that point is, if we end up in a bind with them on our strong, it's time to wind, which, if you then look at the depictions of winding in the sources, is exactly when we're told to do it. So we strike, turn my short edge on to wrench across and either up and in, or strike, wrench down, strike up, and right back onto the bind. Find it again, like we've talked about in the previous rules. All of these rules constantly collapse back onto themselves. So previously I was told to force to one of the circles, right? Strike, he's on my strong, wrench it over into that lower circle, strike to the face, and then immediately find the bind afterwards again. That's the beauty of this rules set, and the way that they work is the ones that we learn initially, we're constantly going to fall back to, okay? So, one more time, just to be clear. Strike, he's on my weak, I pull, strike, strike, okay? Strike to my middle, suppress. Strike to my strong, wrench. And thrust him in the lower openings. All right, so that's the additional rule of the diagram. Now, an important thing to note, Jeff, during this, was seeking, with this set of rules, to gain an overbind, right? He was parrying either really, really wide or progressively tighter with better parries. If he was counterattacking straight to me, things would play out differently. And in fact, in that kind of situation, if I detect that the counterattack is coming to my face, I should abort my initial strike to turn it into a parry, which then will give me an overbind, which is what I want, and then I work back to the middle, just like I would per the previous rules. So in this attack, if they parry wide on your weak and they manage to gain it, you're going to come off and do that short edge beat. If they gain on your middle, you're going to run off and come down with a long edge on the hand, on the strong, or on the shoulder. If they end up on your strong, we're wrenching and we're winding at this point. And if they come at your face, stop attacking and parry. Seriously, guys, keep calm and parry. It's okay. Hopefully this has been helpful. As always, guys, if you've got questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, witty remarks, down there in the comments so that we can talk about it. I love to have these discussions. It helps time go by during this period of social isolation. And otherwise, guys, get out there as best you can. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.